we do have a new PFL World Welterweight Tournament winner, Thad Jean. He's been making a lot of headlines. Definitely a breakout star of 2025. What's next for him? What's next for the PFL welterweight division? Well, Thad Jean is filling in the blanks. He says he wants Cedric Doumbe, the two-time Glory kickboxing champion. Pretty intriguing matchup on paper. He said he's been watching Doumbe for a while, as we all have, and that's the fight that excites him the most. I think he speaks for a lot of people when he says that. A lot of the fantasy matchmaking in this division revolves around Cedric Doumbe, which is kind of crazy. He hasn't had a whole lot of fights, but he's been must-see television for all of his interactions in the PFL cage. Thad Jean said he'll go to Paris if he needs to. He wants it in December so he can recover from the tournament. A lot of weight cutting, the 3 times a year, obviously. But he wants to get in there quickly. Obviously, he had the KO win over Muhammad Berkamov, the decision win over former Bellator champ Jason Jackson, which kind of proved his world ranking. And then he solidified it by beating Logan Storley for the belt, staying composed against the elite wrestler who would not stop coming forward. Now he's one of PFL's most exciting fighters, a la Dakota Ditcheva, a la Paul Hughes. So Gene's mindset, he's not going to let it change him. He's going to keep going higher and higher and higher, and now he wants to be a superstar. And superstars need big fights. I think he realizes Doumbe in Paris would be that money fight, and he's got a lot of confidence now. He's beaten a high-level wrestler. Jason Jackson's super well-rounded. I think he thinks he can take on the elite striking of Cedric Doumbe. He has a lot of freedom as to where his career goes next. I can say, now this is a rumor, but it looks like the PFL World Championship, the super fight belt, will be decided without him. Now he's lurking in the background. I'm sure he's the number 1 contender, but we have a rumored November fight, Shamil Musaev, the PFL champ in 2024. So the tournament Thad Jean just won. Musaev won last year, and he did it very, very impressively. He's going to go against Ramazan Kuramagomedov, who is the ex-Bellator champ when they folded. So this is basically a unification bout, kind of what the super fight division is all about. We will find the true head of the PFL welterweight division, and I think that sets up nicely for Thad Jean's number 1 contendership. So let's do this in November. Let's do this rumored Ramazan Kuramagomedov and Shamil Musaev fight to decide the kingpin, the guy that absolutely deserves the unified belt. Thad Jean has earned the next spot in line. I think that's a nice little title picture there. And as for Cedric Doumbe, you've still got the Baki rivalry to fall back onto. Cedric Doumbe's controversial loss to Baki with the whole splinter in the toe and referee stopping the fight. It's definitely still a factor in the matchmaking. I know Baki just re-upped with PFL, I believe. So those are some big names to watch. Thad Jean, Cedric Doumbe, Baki, and the title picture is shaking up after this Musaev-Kuramagomedov fight. We'll decide who the man is. So the division is gaining some serious momentum for late 2025 and going into 2026. Another division gaining momentum and another rumored title fight. I mean, it was confirmed by the man Khabib Nurmagomedov. So if we are to take him as a man of his word, October 4th in Abu Dhabi, Usman Nurmagomedov defends the PFL lightweight title against Paul Hughes for the second time. Second title fight between these two. The first fight is on track to be voted the greatest PFL fight of all time. And can I argue? Not really. It's pretty amazing. They had a crowd full of people rooting, screaming and hollering. Crowd was going crazy. It was competitive. It was high level. There's so much hype around both of these guys. It's really becoming a cool rivalry. There is no doubt why this rematch should be booked immediately. You know, it's not like Juliana Velasquez and Shakalova. It's the complete opposite. This is an example of a fight that does need to happen. The only case in which I would say this shouldn't be an immediate rematch is if there was a debate on who the next challenger should be. Mansour Barnaoui and Archie Colgan had a fight that was labeled as a number one contenders fight in some areas. I don't know why it was marketed that way. Colgan looked really sharp, yes, but the Hughes-Usman rematch is the absolute right move, and it seems like everything's pointing that direction, so I don't see why they wouldn't do it. Their first fight was razor close, had huge fan engagement, probably the most fan engagement of any fight in PFL this year. And then they had Paul Hughes prove it. They had Paul Hughes regain stock right after his loss. He got back in the cage, 42-second TKO win over Bruno Miranda in May. He's one of PFL's brightest stars. He's very similar to Dakota Ditcheva in his rise, and I think this rematch will be even bigger than the first fight. And this is exactly what PFL needs. They need defining moments, defining fighters, defining rivalries. This is the stuff that does numbers. This is the stuff that generates buzz. Another thing that generates buzz is Artem Lobov. And PFL realized this. PFL made the call. Artem Lobov is making his MMA return 7 years in the making against Zubaira Tukhugov. This is targeted for that Dubai card. It'll be at a catch weight of 165. No real division implications here. This is all story. This is pro wrestling, sports entertainment. This is also what PFL needs. And if they're pairing this with that title fight, ooh, they are going to cash some checks soon, which PFL cannot always say. This rivalry is long running. It originated in the UFC days, the Conor McGregor hype days, 2018. There was a lot of tension ahead of UFC 223. Lobov had confronted Khabib's teammate. Zubaira Tukhugov was involved. This followed up with Conor McGregor's infamous bus attack, and Lobov was pulled from that specific fight with Tukhugov. It was a UFC fight. It was canceled. Tukhugov's role in the post-fight brawl just made it to where this could not happen. So both of them have some layoffs. Lobov retired after a decently successful bare-knuckle run. He had some big fights. He said he wouldn't come back to MMA unless he was paid either $1 million or he got that fight with Zubaira Tukhugov. And I'm going to tell you right now, PFL's not paying him $1 million. So this fight is happening. That is his main motivation. He's no longer aligned with Conor McGregor. You can see the lawsuit over Proper 12. A lot going on there. He claims Conor owed him money. Some things like that. He's been a busy guy. Tukhugov hasn't fought since 2023. He was in the UFC. The storyline sells itself. There's a personal beef, long absence, and some volatile personalities, including Conor McGregor, who the MMA community is still completely obsessed with, and he is a bigger draw than anyone in the sport to this day, despite never fighting. So I totally see why they're doing it. This is a method out of the pro wrestling playbook, the Bellator strategy. It can do numbers, and it can get attention, and that's what PFL needs. They need to tell stories with characters that people care about.